thing is I wish I was a little warmer, but you know what? That's no biggie. Oh, that tree died. Anyhow, okay, so I'm getting to have one of those amazing experiences. What I'm living, the experience that I've been trying to, you know, I don't know what I've been talking about. So I'm gonna do my best because I always get off on rants, but anyway. It's not a rant if you let it out before it gets big. Okay. So, yeah, I am living the very definition that I would use of living an abundant life, and in a truly like relational economy, community, taking care of community, and walking the line between finding the way to have a truly like a generous reciprocal I don't even want to use the word exchange, but like it's not an exchange. Anyhow, it'll make more sense as I just tell you exactly what it looks like, because I realize that I've been far too much trying to put the verbalizations ahead of the just do it modeling and saying what's actually just literally happening, like an evidence journal, but also a like, hey kids, this is real, this is what I'm experiencing. And okay. And I think it really, what I'm really hoping to do is break through that misconception, inaccurate information that you learned and need to update. Like, anyway, yeah, there's a lot to relearn in order to exit the transactional, exchange related, exchange oriented, very currency based, hyper individualistic perception of an economy. And I mean, I know it's hard, but it's fucking fantastic that the transactional bullshit capitalist like fuckery, I mean, yeah, anyhow, it really shouldn't be our sole system of support. Anyhow, so I think part of the reason too I have a hard time verbalizing it is because I'm just like, why do I have to explain how to be human? But okay, I didn't remember how to be human a few years ago. I had to learn and be reminded and whatever. So I have to remember how much doubt I held, even as recently as 2022, 2023. Anyway. So, I am practicing. One of my theories is that if people had the opportunity to basically live in community in a way that they just spent long stretches of time in the same house or area, it doesn't mean they're interacting the whole time. It just means they're in the same area. And when they do want to talk, they can talk. And it doesn't have to be like, let's make an appointment. This is something that I just really wish I'd been able to prioritize when my daughter still lived at home. I'm sure I'll cry anytime I really talk about that. But I was still in such a hustle mode, and I was spending so much time with my friends and in activities. Like, it would have been age appropriate in my 20s. It wasn't age appropriate when I was a single mom with a teenage daughter at home. I will definitely always regret that. And it's been a multi-year process to get from that place of I'm having such a great life, everything's fantastic, and I'm so fucking busy, I fill every moment, and I'm barely around for my kid, and she doesn't want to make appointments because she should just be able to say, hey mom, we're going to hang out all afternoon, right? I mean, I don't know. I'll always be angry about that so many of the choices I made in those years. And I understand that you make, hey Cleo, Cleo, that's enough. Thank you. She's one of these dogs that's like on hyper alert, and I don't know. Yeah. I'd find that she calms quite a bit if I'm here for a stretch, like at least a week. But anyway, I did not believe. No, that's not true. I did really believe that this existed, this way of living existed, and but I hadn't really seen it, and so I just had to keep like figuring it out, watching for it. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Am I there? Is it? And so, yeah, an ongoing tuning in to my experience. And I'm just gonna do my best to try to just talk it out, like just like I would if people were around. There's really no reason for me to keep my mouth shut just because there's nobody around. Because what I'm saying is I want people around, but the way for it to be like an ongoing, like positive experience instead of we're on top of each other experiences. The difference is just there's not a time pressure. Like we just can flow and oh god, okay. I shouldn't be trying to verbalize this. That's just stop trying to verbalize and explain it. I don't have to do that. Okay. So here's my plan. Is I'm gonna take the camera off me and I'm gonna, I don't know, make a little B-roll of a beautiful spruce tree or something, and I'm gonna smoke a little cannabis, and then I will take the camera over with me by the hot tub and I'll talk about whatever I want to talk about, just like I would if somebody was here with me, because yeah, that's a whole nother thing. The amount of opportunity and time where two people who don't spend a great deal of time together, I think you can co-regulate and kind of meet where you're, be in a similar like vibration. It's extraordinarily limited and difficult to actually match up with someone else. Like say, I would have a housemate who's just very talkative and his energy is very up. And if he was in a common space when I was there, he would automatically want to talk and engage and interact and like, and I would be like, I don't want to. I'm thinking about something else. Just pretend I'm not here. And it's not that it's not the action that I had a problem with. It's just the time. And he's in his energy, I'm in mine. They just don't happen to match. There's nothing good or bad or wrong with either. It's just they don't match. And it's hard to plan for a match. So, making appointments. And also, again, if you just don't, if you only spend a few hours together every so often, then it's like, how do you decide what to talk about? And so then I find that a lot of times people just sort of swamp it and, don't really go, what do I really want to know about you? And what do you want to know about me? And what are we interested in talking about together? Like being really intentional about it. It revolutionizes relationships to just be really intentional about your time. I have experienced that just profoundly in the past few years, 5 years. Okay, let's get on my pan. My feet are getting cold. I can't let my feet get cold, Ozzy. I gotta go get in that hot tub. I gotta quit jabbering. Get in the hot tub. So how about we get some doggy? We get some doggy B-roll. Hey, buddy. You don't really want to be on camera right now, do you? Okay, yeah. I'm just gonna sit right here for a sec. Maybe I'll just mute it. Maybe you'll be able to hear the birds and the breeze. That's what I'll keep it on for. Ooh, that could be a cool way to actually work pauses into videos, kind of slow things down, is have sound B-roll, nature, um, and also maybe have sound of nature in the background. Why the hell not? Yeah, we can layer shit. Yeah. Okay. Oh, look at here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Yay. So changing location, I'm gonna get in the hot tub. Getting in the hot tub. It's hot in the hot tub. Something I'd like to eventually do is if I had the team to do it, if I started singing a song like that, they would know to go like find that skit, that Saturday Night Live skit. I think it's Eddie Murphy or something. I know what's going on with my fucking camera. Okay. I'm not gonna fucking worry about it right now, but I will have to turn this around. I think those cameras are better. Okay, what is this? I don't really want retouch on. Okay. All right, so let's get this show on the road. My feet are getting cold. I need to talk about the benefits of community without harming myself in the way that I wouldn't if I was with community. Okay, so right now my camera's in the fucking way. All right. Woo, that's loud. That's loud. Okay. I don't know if I'd be able to figure out the okay. I just gotta quit fussing with the seat. See, if I had somebody here helping me, I wouldn't be fucking around right now. I would already be in the water instead of fucking around with the camera. That's why I need somebody to hang out with me, and I just have to be help. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna get in, but I don't want to see me naked. Okay, so ooh, it feels really, really hot since my feet got extra cold. So it's like that stinging, you know? Woo, 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 woo. Oh, yay, the sun is coming out. I kept kind of postponing, even though I really wanted to come be in here. It took me a while, but I think it was really because my nature was saying, hey, it's not quite time yet. The sun will come out, or I don't know. So anyhow, I've had a really good day to day as far as like, I don't know, making good choices about how I spent my time. And so what that looked like today, and also this is all under the umbrella of living in abundance, living in a community, and just doing my best to describe and, give examples of what that looks like, so that it was a lot of work for me to figure out how to see it, like I said, and I hadn't had the opportunity to truly experience what my heart kept saying. What's possible? I haven't even read all of Charles Eisenstein's book. I know I would want to, but it's one of those things that, when I have to prioritize, just like everybody does. I have to prioritize. And sometimes, regardless of how, okay, I think we're getting there. I think we'll leave it there. Regardless of how interested I am in something, or how important something is to me, when the urgency of the world gets in the way, I get dysregulated. And if you've learned anything about nervous systems and stuff, then you know that you make decisions based on state of your nervous system, just like full stop. And so I've never experienced the life I'm living now, so I've never before experienced what my nervous system feels in these conditions. And I am one of the many who came from a he came from a child and young adulthood of extraordinary adversity and fucking trauma. Okay, let's switch this around. Okay. Okay, so, all right, anyway. Oh, right. There we go. Okay. And I know part of it, sometimes I get frustrated with how long all of this stuff takes, but on the other hand, it is kind of one of my favorite grounding activities, or like creativity breaks or whatever, is one of my lifelong passions has been photography, as well as dark room itself is a very different experience, and I do love it, but I love this more, where I have the opportunity to manipulate photos based on, and I don't have to understand the settings. That was another major barrier for me, but yeah, someday I'll tell the story of my lifelong love affair with cameras. Okay. So the challenge in the struggle, I'm going to try to use Jeanette's, okay, Jeanette's reading the Gene Keys. I'm editing the videos of Gene Keys. Sometimes, I'm not always, but I'm editing those videos, and so therefore I'm listening to them, watching them, improving them. So I hear the message, more than once, but often, I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to go there. So I just took 3 deep breaths. And still some more. My chest feels tight and my belly feels tight. It feels like sort of like a pushing from within pressure to like move, keep going. Anyway. I'll just keep practicing. I used to have to think about what the hell is mindfulness. And I had to think about it, read about it, hear about it, talk about it. And the whole time I knew that that was kind of funny because mindfulness is about being present. And if you're thinking about, talking about, reading about, learning about, thinking about something, you're probably not experiencing it yet. But that is the way that I learned how to recognize it, was through re-education. Okay. I was very frustrated when my daughter was young because I so badly wanted to create an unschooling environment for her. And in some ways we did co-create it, but that's a story that's very complicated. But yeah, she learned young, and is in her early 20s and is already like, anyway. Again, I can't do all the words I need to. Take my bath, I need to talk about the things I mean to talk about. But it's also really hard to stay focused, and I wish we didn't have to. Because if we had the luxury of time together, we wouldn't feel so pressured and rushed. Okay, I keep meaning to go add some more posts about the other people on my team. I guess it'll just be a progressive fundraiser. And we'll start at the foundation. Maybe I'll even call it, what is the correct name of Maslow's hierarchy? I don't want to have to teach that again. I just want to use it as a rough model. So I guess I'll just have to hope that people won't get all hung up on what it's named, and instead just let me use it as a model most people understand. That's hard to tell. Okay. I need to drink more water, and I made some tea. And when I'm living in the moment, I remember these things better. But in fact, I don't have to remember them because I just am able to hear my body signals. And then I pay attention to how do I interpret my body signals. Am I thirsty? Am I hungry? Am I in pain? Am I sad? Am I happy? What is going on? The only way to figure it out is to quit trying to figure it out and just experience it. Just experience it. 'Cause it's really fucking funny to think about mindfulness, but also it's the, if that's where you're starting, that's the way you gotta start. If you're living in your left brain and it's really hard to access your right, then that's really where you gotta start, is in the intellectual zone. So it's time to step out of it and into experiencing. And that's really quite that is really a much more gentle process, is just to follow along with what someone else is doing, learn what works for you and what doesn't, but by having a different thing to compare against, And don't get hung up on comparison. I'm just saying, if you live in an environment with people who are generally self-reflective and have a pretty decent ability to self-regulate and understand what's going on for them, identifying what they need, what they can ask for, what they can demand, instead of getting to these points where they haven't been able to communicate it, so they just have tantrums. Ooh. Slowing down. Slowing down is the first key to accessing, is slowing down. Tuning into your force, your many senses, tuning into them all. And you may not know how to notice them at first because you've been well trained. You've been well trained. You're well domesticated, but that doesn't mean you gotta stay that way. There is this whole thing called rewilding or whatever. It doesn't matter what we call it because that's intellectualizing it again. And I'm trying to say you just got to experience it. But the step between intellectualization is finding those people who inspire you, who you feel you resonate with and can understand what the hell they're talking about. But more than that, it's how do you feel when you're listening to them or hanging out with them? Because if everyone you hang out with is generally pretty high energy, they expect you to be high energy too. And if the only language people will try and communicate in is verbal, then goddamn it, there's so many misunderstandings because your energy doesn't match. And so you're perceiving the behavior and all the other things, you're perceiving it through a oh my god, that pool noodle is exactly in the shape of an infinity symbol. It's two pieces cut together anyway. So the first place to start is taking a breath. Just one at a time at first. And if you can, you try to do another one. It's okay if it's hard. It's okay if you stop. Just try again another time. But really what I'm trying to say is it really only takes one breath. You really don't need to worry about doing it 3 times. It just needs to be one breath. Because the length of time it takes you to take that one deep breath and let it out completely. In the next moment, you can just sort of check in again. How does your belly feel? How does your chest feel? How do different parts of your bodies feel? What are they saying to you? Is there a way you can be just a little more comfortable? Is there a thing that you could do or ask for that would help you be just a little more comfortable? So obviously, if you're taking all these pauses and taking even just one breath, obviously you're not gonna get as much done. You're not gonna be as productive in the way we currently understand those words. It's really important that we slow down enough to ask the question. Hey, in the context of that gene key you just talked about, Jeanette, it used the word integrity, and my understanding of integrity has a lot to do with your words and actions in alignment, which honestly is pretty tough sometimes because the words and the actions might not come at the same time. But by slowing down, you can start to notice a word like integrity actually has a lot of different meanings. And in this case, the word integrity was more related to the foundation and structure of, kind of like a building or whatever. You can think of it in that physical way if you like. But the reality is that even if you can't see it, you have built a superstructure around yourself. It's about nuance and subtlety. It's about taking a deep breath and being truly in the moment. It's really a lot easier if you just take those old adages totally literally. Stop and smell the roses is obviously very wise. What it doesn't also say is breathe. It's also giving a direction, smell the roses. But if you just relax into it, just stop and breathe. You eventually realize that there's a lot of different meanings for stop and smell the roses. There's a lot of different ways to have an experience with that phrase. And ask yourself, what is the definition of those words in this moment? And I know it's really hard to stop intellectualizing. I know it's really hard to stop thinking.
But if you just stop and watch and you remember that when you were really young, you didn't understand the language anybody was speaking. And especially if you learn to speak later or learn to read later or whatever. If most people learn it at a certain age and you learn it a lot younger, then what the hell is wrong with you? There's no way you can absolutely know how to read that at 3. Get over here with the rest of the kids and learn your alphabet. No, thank you. I'll go sit over here by myself and read my chapter book. But she didn't believe me until eventually, finally, she realized I consistently, really, truly just went over somewhere by myself and relaxed and read my book. That's one of my favorite things about having this medium is I can do what I'm doing without even have to thinking about whether or not another human is in the same space I am, whether that be energetically or whatever. We don't have to check in and talk about it and say, hey, where are you now? And blah, 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 blah. And by the time you do all that talking, you really lost the thread. The whole flow of the thing has gone completely differently because you just got in your head. But by slowing down and taking a deep breath and just remembering that you don't have to understand everything through a verbalization, that beginner's mind is really the best place to be, especially if you're around someone like me. If you trust me and just seem to say, wow, holy shit, she says a lot of white shit. I learn a lot from her. What if I just chill the fuck out and learn from her? Just by watching her, listening to her. And when she talks to her friends and they laugh about shit or cry about shit or blah, 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 whatever. It's just like you're a fly on the wall. You're hanging out with us. Just not at the exact same time. You come when it's right for you. And that way we line up every time. You can take a pause whenever you like. You don't have to keep interacting. Just because you set aside a certain time to do something in particular. That leaves so little room for creativity that it's really a really big bummer. And if you never get a chance to watch somebody else do their thing, then you don't learn other ways of being. You can learn a lot from dogs. You can learn a lot from dogs. It's one of the many, many reasons I suggest pet sitting. Especially dogs, because I think they're really easy to understand. Much easier than a human who wants to speak a certain language and it happens to be a different dialect than you know, so you're constantly having misunderstandings. And losing the flow because you keep having misunderstandings. When really you don't need to understand, you just need to go with the flow. Take a deep breath and just listen for a moment. You might hear a bird or the breeze or something else. So this place I am right now is not my home. It is the home of a good friend who practices reciprocity in a relational economy. We weave a whole lot of different threads together. She's definitely a member of the Mutual Inspiration Society. And for a few years, she has trusted me with her home and these her sweet little fur babies. I think they're just so chill right now. I just really want to focus on them as much as possible. Because this is actually a pretty long stretch of chill. Because they're just naturally going to be a little more dysregulated if I'm not here. If I've only been here a few days and they haven't seen me in a while, it takes them a few days to relax. But they're definitely getting there. Yeah, they're pretty chill. So, can learn from the dogs how to chill out. See, Cleo's still paying attention to what's going on. Her tail's a little down, so she's not totally relaxed, but she's also not tense right now. Oh, she looks so much like Aloha. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how much she looks like Aloha. I'm crying. Because since her tail is sideways, it looks like a little tail, like Aloha, and the sun's on Cleo's face in such a way that it looks like she's black and silver. Okay, now she won't look like a... Okay, you guys. Say hi, but not good dogs. Good dogs. There you go. It's pretty cool. They're being chill, actually, right now. I'll go back to the tree. So what happens is I have this whole thought process and I think about stuff I want to talk about, and then I start chilling out as soon as I get into the tub, and then the kind of stuff I want to talk about kind of changes pretty often, because that also is an example of that thing I was just describing, where the natural flow is to go up and over and around and sometimes skip altogether certain things. If you try to make yourself or other people stick to a very straight line, stick to the topic, Heather, stop going off topic. I'm really tired of your... whatever those are called. But here's the bummer, guys. If we just slowed the fuck down a bit, we wouldn't be so stressed about time and be like, hey, be efficient. Be efficient. I got somewhere to be. Why do you seem so grumpy? I'm not grumpy. Well, it sure seems like you're grumpy. Well, yeah, 'cause you never spend enough time together that you learn from each other what not grumpy feels like. And so your memory is always telling you what, that you always feel grumpy about around this particular person, and so then you kind of always see them as grumpy because that's what you're used to. But see, just like dogs. Oh my God, you're still Aloha, Cleo. Oh, I love it when I recognize a reincarnation of some of my old dogs. I love you guys. He's so sweet. No, I gotta quit fucking around with it. That's what I gotta do. Quit it. Quit touching. Oh my God, it's so cute. So this is abundance. So these dogs that are really comfortable with me, I love them. They are so cozy. They're some of the only dogs I like sleeping with. Ozzy is the only one I like spooning with. You're a good spoon buddy, aren't you, Ozzy? Yes, you are. You put your head in just the right spot, and you're not heavy, you're not crushing me, you're making my arm fall asleep. Oh, you're smelling the flowers, sweetie. Oh, I missed it. I wish you'd go back to smelling the flowers. So sweet. Okay, well. Okay, I do really have a particular topic I want to get to. But then, isn't that a construct too? So anyhow. I'm gonna keep practicing what I say I'm gonna practice, and I'll verbalize when it's time. And one of the things I learned about myself, but it took quite a while, is one of the signs that I'm in my right brain is most of what I want to say comes out in song. And if it comes out in words, then they're usually really pretty flowing and closer to what I mean to say. Or at the very least, it's just like a rough draft, you motherfuckers. Why in the hell do we put so much stock in the first draft? Because if you've studied anything like nervous system regulation, you'll know that your first reaction is a reaction based on past experience. And until you've cleared that trauma, then it's really hard for you to have a different experience. And so, unfortunately, the first reaction is not really even based in the current experience. It's probably loosely tied, not completely enmeshed. This is also the creative process that I think a lot of artists keep to themselves. And maybe that's part of the reason they kinda go crazy, is because they're the only ones who believe in themselves. And it's just really fucking nuts to move in a world where no one else seems to see the way you do. But then you start to meet your friends, either really the people you're supposed to be close to because they sort of see the world in a similar way as you. But here's the big difference, you'll know it's your crowd, it's if they truly feel inspiring. If instead they kind of push you to do stuff, but it really doesn't feel inspiring, then those aren't the folks you want to hang out with. It's better to be alone than to make choices that are harmful to yourself or others. I hate the pool noodle keeps touching me. So leave plenty of space open and then it'll be easier for you to recognize more quickly when someone doesn't feel good to be around. If you slow down and prioritize, it'll be easier for you to realize that the only time your daughter feels comfortable with you is if you've been home for quite a while. And unfortunately, that very rarely happened because I was so motherfucking busy. But over these last few years in particular, I've really dedicated myself to taking the actions instead of just thinking and talking about it. And I've gone through these spurts of action quite a few times. But the next big step, it really requires help. There's really not much of a chance of me getting from where I am right now to where I want to be without some help. And what that looks like can be any number of things. So my invitation to you is please take a pause. Anytime you notice you're putting a dollar amount on something, I will, of course, use it as a reference point because it's a language we speak together. But just like just about anything else I talk about, I invite you in every moment to ask yourself what definition you're using of any of the words I'm using. Because if you take a deep breath and read it again, you might realize the words mean something else. So just do your best to realize I just use currency and that sort of language as a common dialect. So I think that's one of the easiest things to do, actually, to make everything a lot less complicated, is just anytime you're listening to me or my friends, just realize we don't speak the same dialect. Even if we speak the same English, even if you think you use the same dictionary, chances are really good that's not actually as true as you think it is. So, reciprocity. Hi, sweetie. No, okay, he doesn't want to be on camera right now. But I think this guy does. Yeah, I think, ooh, that looks cool. Okay, let's go like this. Okay. I know, so you know what? Do you ever think about how freaking edited the world is? How edited everything is? You all say, oh, it's not real life. But then you also give in to a short attention span and don't give real life a chance to unfold. You see what I'm saying here? Oh, you guys are all fakers on Instagram. Okay, you shithead. If you only see like 1 to 10 seconds or a couple minutes now and then when they're real high and feeling fantastic, you're not getting the whole picture. And unless you spend a lot of time with somebody in one form or another, you actually won't even see them as a whole human being. You'll just see them in one particular way and you'll expect them to act in that particular way all the time because you know them in this one particular way. Like say at work, you know their work selves. But, you know how people aren't often exactly the same to their work selves. So, just think about that. And think about dialects of language. And so, don't get all fucking hung up. Instead, just go, what definition is she using? What definition am I? If I gotta think about this, oh, good news, I can pause the video. She's not gonna just keep on going and blah, 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 and I won't be able to keep up because I am a sovereign being and I have the power to pause the video. I can even, if I feel like it, I can slow it down. I can speed it up. I can make a video I'm listening to sound so fucking hilarious that no matter how deep and dark the topic is, listening to it in a helium fucking voice is hilarious. And that's one way forward, is finding the humor. It's like, the dark humor. So you talk to an ICU doc or an emergency room nurse or any of those people who do lots of triage, and lots of life-saving, like directly. Ask them. Would people outside of their specific sphere think what they're saying is funny if they overheard, or would they be like, oh my fucking god, that's cruel and terrible and you're a bad person for saying it? And you just kind of apply that to anything. Just stop and think, Fucking asking yourself, what fucking definition are you using? Are they using? Why would a reasonable person act in the way that person is behaving? And is what's happening a behavior that you're uncomfortable with or don't like or judging? Or is it somehow that their innate self? And then, what standard are you holding them up to? Do they even know what that standard is? Is it even conceivable based on their life experience and perspective that they can live up to whatever fucking standard is you hold and have not communicated? Again, all of this takes time to learn, and you got to learn your friends, and you got to learn your family, and you got to be around enough that you see your family in all these different phases, and you just love them through all of them. And yeah, you might get like, man, I'm so hurt if you hurt my feelings, but you learn how to, and you were a total asshole, or fuck, that was downright abusive. Like those things, if there's no way to ever talk about them, feel through them, cry about them, just be held about them. Like, again, not all words, obviously, because if you don't speak the same dialect or language as your parent figure,
or other adults, then, oh God. That's why it's easier to just keep your mouth shut and you're in that situation, at least from where I sit. And unfortunately, I think my daughter's experience was largely similar in that she never got an opportunity to get through the word phase with me. I would straight up say, I don't feel like we're speaking the same language. I need more time with you in order to learn yours. And she'd say, yeah, well, and the unspoken was, quit going out all the time. I'm home. I'm around. You know where I am. Stick around and we'll get some time together. And no, I will not make an appointment because I do not know how I will feel later this week, Mom. So either you make yourself available and, yeah, it'll line up. It'll line up if it's meant to line up. And she got to that point long after I stopped being in integrity with like saying, oh, hey, how about we spend Saturday going for a drive and, a day trip. And we'd get all excited about it. And then something would happen for one of us or both of us, or we'd be too tired or just whatever. Something would come up that would make us change that plan. And if you have enough opportunities for that, then eventually you learn, oh, that's just the natural flow of things. And often you get excited about something and talk about doing something and kind of like plan for something way before you actually do the thing. And so if one day you're like, hey, let's do this amazing, fun thing, but that requires some planning, don't get mad if it doesn't happen. It just means, that's important to me and I want to do it. So let's come back to that conversation and take the next step in the plan. Okay, what kept us from doing it this time? Okay, let's plan for that for next time. And it takes a while because there's so many things and so much programming you're overcoming. You don't even realize you're overcoming. And that's probably part of the reason my daughter was so fucking frustrated, rightfully so, with me, is because she still innately remembered and knew all the things that I've had to learn and like uncover in myself. And the more I look back and really reflect on what she said or did, or I don't know, just so many things that I now know that if I had slowed down enough and been around enough, I'm not gonna be able to make that horse pop out, the one that I'm seeing in those leaves. It's okay. I would have learned her language. It was my responsibility to learn her communication. It was not her responsibility to meet me where I'm at with verbs and words. And also often the first communication, especially if it's been pent up, is not kindly communicated. And if you can't, knew that I always needed to make sure it was really clear to her that I loved her through, even if she said something mean, I might say, and there would be people, why do you let your kid talk to you like that? And because she needs to feel safe. There needs to be at least one place in the world where she knows without an absolute fucking doubt, it does not matter what she does, what she says, I will love her. I will not, I will not hold it against her. I accept her fully in every way that she shows up, because in order for someone to feel fully loved, they must be literally have the experience of being loved through a shadow period. And someday I'll draw the visualization of what I'm trying to say, because words are insufficient. But I keep resorting to them because it's the shared communication. It's part of what I'm trying to model too. All right, I've been in the tub for like probably at least half an hour. I should probably get out now. It's 12:21. Oh, right. Okay, what I noticed. So one of the things that helped me tune into the moment and recalibrate, back in, I'll say 2017 was when when my life fell apart to the point where I had no choice but to reassess everything. And throughout that year, just about everything it believed and experienced and based my perception on over time found out the majority of it was a lie, was, whatever my experience was extraordinarily different than anyone I was sharing it with. We might be in the exact same room, but we were using such different language that, double entendre and dialect and trying not to lie, but also, anyway, it's fucking fucked up. Fucked up. My tea's still hot after an hour. And the actions you take are different depending on how regulated you feel. So hot. Okay. Even though it's been an hour. Okay. I once accidentally spilled a coffee pot full or a kettle full of boiling water on my legs when I was wearing jeans. And so it held the heat on really well. So it wasn't until I got the jeans off that I even started to feel any relief. And so that whole time there was scalding hot water on my skin. So a lot longer than just spilling it. And I was in the Prince William Sound. I was on our boat. I must have been on the Big Valley because I think that's the only boat we went out there on. I was on the Big Valley making a pot of coffee, and I was enjoying a rare quiet moment, but also was supposed to hurry. And I spilled the kettle on my legs, and it hurt like a motherfucker, and help was far, and every person around me was a man, and I didn't want to take my pants off in front of any men. I was 16 and cute and literally one of the only women for miles. We were out there in the Prince William Sound, Exxon Valdez oil spill zone. So I cried and tried to figure out what to do, and so of course everything's taking longer. And I think maybe Pete finally came and checked on me. I think I was still crying. Yeah, that sucked. That sucked. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting out of this. Oh. The other thing you gotta realize you're always saying, I wanna be seen, I wanna be heard, but don't you dare record me. Don't take any pictures, don't take any video, because the only way I'm willing to be is to live in your memory. And I know we've objectively learned that memories are fallible. I don't care. I still want you to base everything you ever knew about me based on your memory. Instead of, it's really pretty cool to go back to stuff from the past, like photographs or videos. And say stuff like, oh my God, I forgot all about it. That was so much fun. Okay. Okay, it's time to put this stuff in the tub. Okay. So I gotta start getting hyper specific about the kind of help I need. So I think what I'll do is I'll stop being the barrier to so many videos being published. Yeah, I can put those into a, no, anyway, okay. It's time to go inside, get some more food in me. Yeah, I don't want to get cold, so I gotta go in. I think coming back outside's a good idea. If I leave this out here, I'm more likely to do it. So, what view do I want to gather B-roll? Isn't it cute? They kind of look like shredded wheat. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. Oh yeah, I'm gonna look for a face. Okay, do I see a face right there? Yeah, I see all kinds of stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this right here and collect some B-roll and let it record the wind and all the things, and go get dressed, and maybe the sun will come out. I wonder if my new computer will work out here. Holy shit, I'm so fucking pumped. I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna silence it because I'm gonna make a bunch of noise and there's no reason to record that. And I like having periods of silence just because then it's real easy to see if that's a spot I can cut or if it's, yeah, it needs almost no review. It's only deciding if I'm keeping it or not. And in a video like this, I'll be planning on keeping a lot of what I recorded just because I need a lot of B-roll. Ooh, I kind of see a Sasquatch maybe. Oh shit! Totally see a gorilla. Wow. Okay. Oh, it's kind of hard to find him. I'll have to keep. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna silence it, and so yeah, I'm gonna. At some point, I'll be able to ask. I'm doing it right now, I guess. So if you're listening to this, the biggest help I need if you're listening to the first draft video is in the comments. Tell me what timestamp something happened. That could be either an edit or a segment. And so in this case, whatever timestamp this period of silence begins once I mute it, and then the timestamp for when it ends. And then in this case, if it's silence, you would just say silence, and maybe say if it looks like it could be kept as B-roll, or if it's just a bunch of garbage, or it's looking at something boring. But if it's looking at something cool, then put that in the comments. So again, if you're listening to this, actually, normally I don't give you kisses because there's a poop eater in this house. I don't think it's you. I think it's your sister. But anyhow, okay, so here's the request. Anytime you're listening to any of my stuff, that's especially if it's still kind of a rough draft, then tell me the timestamps in the comments. And in this case, you would be, okay, timestamp that the silence started, and it looks like it's good B-roll because I'll have it aimed at something looking cool. And this is the timestamp for when it ended. You could also give me the timestamp for when did this ramble begin, and the timestamp when it ended, because this could be a great segment that part of it I could use to make a standalone video that's describing this helpful thing I'm asking for, this way of supporting us. Yeah, this is different. This is more like a resource raising. And it's perfect for anybody who wants to give of their time. And it's a teeny tiny small amount. If you're already watching and listening, it's such a big deal, like how much time you're saving me or whoever's editing for me by telling us the timestamps and a little idea of what's in that segment. So yeah, that's my request. That's resource raising, is the investment of your time, the gift of your time, which means the gift that you're giving us is saving that time. Because if someone else doesn't timestamp a video, it's got to wait for me. And I decided today I'm not going to do that anymore. If I make a video where I don't feel like there was anything that was particularly personal, then I'm going to just make it go public as soon as I'm done. Oh gosh, Ozzy, you're just so cute. I can't stand it. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to silence it now because I'm going to make a bunch of noise. Look at you. Yeah, he's a good boy. Okay. Okay, timestamp where this new silence begins, because I wouldn't want to use anything of all that moving I just did. So timestamp of silence. Looks like good B-roll. Silence ends, and timestamp. Thank you. I'm just going to actually end here and switch to a landscape because I need some landscape B-roll. And I think what I'm going to do now is I need a bigger, I need landscape B-roll. Okay, I'm going to start a new one.